So the Woodward cruise is tomorrow, and I need to go ahead and change this back tire. There's already going to be a lot of rubber on the road, and I want a secure tire to be riding on the road with them and go ahead and get some awesome footage of the cars that will be down there. So I'm going to go over removing the back tire and changing the tire off the rim. And the first part of that is going to be covering just removing the tire. So I'm going to go over the tools that we're going to use to remove this back tire. Alright, this is the perfect time to do this because I don't know if you can hear it, but in the background that's rain. So the tools that we'll be using is a socket wrench, 10mm socket, 13mm socket, and a 21mm socket. An extension, and this time we'll be using a breaker bar, and that will be able to break the back tire off. Quick little note I want to share with you guys on disconnecting the exhaust. I've disconnected mine numerous times, and it's always best to disconnect the whole system, the muffler and the actual pipe, together as one unit. Disconnecting at this 3-point flange area, it's kind of hard sometimes because of this gasket needs to be replaced. So instead of doing that, I'm going to disconnect my whole system. And we start at the bottom with the 10mm bolts that is connected to the engine. Then I'll remove these with my 13mm socket. Just want to break them loose, and then I can take the rest off by hand. And there they are. So next we want to break loose our 13mm bolts holding the exhaust in place. Next we want to remove our shock bolt, and that's 10mm. On most scooters you'd have to remove your rear tire fender, but since mine is already been eliminated, I just have these two 10mm bolts to remove, and then we'll work on the nut that holds the tire in. So now we're going to use our 24mm socket and our breaker bar to break our wheel nut. And once it's broken, you can use a regular socket the rest of the way. Here you'll notice there is a bearing in the swing arm, and there's also a bearing on the wheel. So you want to make sure you have two bearings. Alright, on this particular model I needed to remove the whole shock for me to remove the back tire, and she slides off. And while you have the tire off, it's always best to check your brake pads. Mine look pretty good, so I'm going to hold off on changing those, but we have the tire off to go ahead and do our tire change. So for the tire removal procedure, we're going to need soapy water put around the rim. I have Dr. Rock's tire spoon lever irons. That came with a tire valve tool and rim protectors and the actual tire. I'm putting on a Kenda K413 130 by 60 by 13 scooter tire. I'll have these items as links in the description of the video. So let's get started. So the first step in our procedure is to take our tire valve tool and remove the valve core from the tire and let the air out. And you want to make sure you secure the valve stem so it doesn't shoot out. The next step in the procedure would be to break this bead on the tire. The bead is the surrounding surface that connects to the actual rim, and I recommend two ways of doing it. I'm going to try to stand on it and try to force it down. You have to do it on both sides, and if that doesn't work, I will put it in a vise. I went on and tried my tire spoon, and that was the easiest way to break the bead. So now we'll flip it over. And break it on this side also. So now we'll add our soapy water around the bead. I'm going to use a rim guard until it annoys me. And you'll take the fork. You'll slide it in between the tire and it'll lift the tire over the rim. Sorry about that. Alright, and I'll take another tire iron, or tire spoon, and I'll lift it in another place. Alright. We want to keep working it until sorry about that. Until the tire is off the rim. Sorry about that. Let me center it back up. Alright. And we'll flip the rim over. And we want to do basically the same thing on this side. Before we go any further, I do want to mention that the actual tires have directional arrows on the way you're supposed to set it on the actual rim. So again, this is on the back side and it's going to the left. So you just want to match that up when you put your new tire on. Make sure your arrows are going the right way. Now to remove the rim completely from the tire, I have the actual guards, rim guards, on the other side of the rim where you can't see them because we're going to pry this way this time. As you can see, if you pry, the camera paused there for a minute, but if you pry on this side, once you have your tire rods in and you put weight on the actual tire and keep moving out, the tire will pop off. And there we have the rim separated from the tire. Alright, let's go ahead and install our tire. But before we do that, I want to talk about this yellow dot really quick. On any tire, that yellow dot indicates the tire's light spot. Now normally you want to match that up with the heavy spot on the rim. The manufacturers want that light spot to match up with the valve area on the rim. So when it's installed, it's going to look very similar to this. So I'm assuming that the heaviest spot on my rim is where my valve is seated. So I'm going to place the tire in matching with the yellow area. So I'm going to place the tire in matching with the yellow mark. So now, like before, we're going to go ahead and wet our tire wall with our soapy water so we can get it to slide on in. And from here, we're going to put our rim as far as we can into the tire. And there we go. So again, we want to line up our valve stems with our weak point, and then we're going to work on the other side. Alright, I'm going to try to make it not too hard to see what I'm doing, but after working it a couple of different ways, I was able to finally get the actual tire all the way around. The trick is you have to actually bend it in and get it close enough to the rim to where it will seat. And now I'm coming along the final portion of getting the rim in. So what I've been doing is putting my full weight on the actual tire for it not to come off of the rim. So I've been standing on it per se and trying to pry it around, and in a minute it should be complete. So I'm going to move this just down. Okay, push on that side and bam. And now the tire is completely installed. I definitely want to give a shout out to 90 GT Vert. He produced a video about 4 months ago on this same procedure, and I probably wouldn't have done it without seeing that video first. So I appreciate him very much. Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. For anybody who was wondering, I was able to seat the tire to the bead with a 12-volt air compressor, put the valve core in, and then pump up the tire with no air leakage. So it is possible. Again, have a great day. Peace out.